ever faced a challenge that seemed hopeless, yet you think that you have the power to change your life for the better no matter the obstacles you face? Well, if so, then you're in the right place. I'm your host, Alethea Felton, and welcome to the Power Transformation Podcast, where we explore the incredible true stories of people who have overcome adversity and created meaningful lives. So, prepare to be inspired, equipped, and empowered, for the time is now to create your power transformation. Hey y'all, welcome back to yet another episode of the Power Transformation Podcast. I'm so thrilled that you've joined me today. I thank you for your support, and I want to jump right into this episode with the guest we have today, yet another person who is really making moves and making marks. So I want to get into this episode, but before we begin, I always begin with an affirmation. You say it once, I'll say it once. Excuse me, I got ahead of myself. I'll say it once, and then you repeat it. I have the strength and resourcefulness to handle anything that comes my way. Today's guest, y'all, is someone I go way back with, 17, 18 years, way back when I first moved up to Washington, D.C. many years ago. She and her family were key people in my transition up that way. It was so different from where I came from. And she took me right under her wings as a sister. And I am so thankful for her. And it is none other than entrepreneur, business coach, CEO of High Octane Teams, wife, mom, an amazing friend, Tanika de Souza. Hey, girl, welcome to the Power Transformation Podcast.
Thank you. So here's what's going to be funny. You were around when I had my daughter. She just turned 17. So you definitely knew me longer than 17 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That, because I still picture her as this little girl.
As a teeny tiny. And I was like, look, guys, she can sit up. I'm going to bring her over.
You sure did. You brought her right over to my house. She's a baby.
Did. And I will say, I did not bring her to a lot of people's houses. So that shows you the relationship that we had.
It really, really does. And I'm honored about that. And thank you so much. And I am so glad that you are a part of this podcast. And I remembered a few years ago when you were doing a lot of different Facebook Lives, especially, and you had me on your show. And I was always very grateful for that. But even if that had never happened, you are somebody that I wanted to have as a guest. And it's because you certainly have a transformation story. You have a journey, and it is worth being shared. It is one of such faith, resilience, determination, and more. But before we get into that, I always like to ask a random question just to kind of get started and to let us get to know you more as a person, something fun, lighthearted. But this one may be, I don't know, it might be challenging, but I'm hoping it'll be a little easy. But based on a little bit that I already know about you in this aspect, this is where the question is going to come. Out of all of the places you've traveled in the world, what place stands out to you the most right now as being your favorite place, and why?
Oh, no. So my kids laugh at me because every time I come off of a trip, I love everywhere I just went. So because you asked me today, I just came back from Panama City, Panama, and I loved it. It was so nice. I think the thing that I could appreciate the most was the culture. They were not willing to just bend for tourism.
Wow.
I still felt like I had a great time, but I definitely needed to pull out that Google Translator because my Spanish is terrible. Um, but it was just so great. I felt like the people were very nice. Um, and it was just very inviting. It never hurts when you leave the DC metropolitan area and go somewhere that is summer and it was January.
Mm.
So, I was loving every minute of that. So,
Oh,
right now, that's on the top list. If I would say, if I had not gone there as a young child, I went to Thailand, and that was super memorable for me.
wow. Wow, that is, and I'm just so glad that you've had so many global experiences and that you will continue doing so because this is a lifelong venture of yours. And just the fact you have been able to just broaden your horizons, network with so many people. And I too enjoy traveling globally. And it's something that's just in me, and I'm already thinking about places I can go later this year. And it's just exciting. So, people, if y'all are listening to this portion specifically about the travel aspect, get a passport if you don't have one, invest in one. It is
Yes.
well worth it and start to go. And trips, you can make the best out of trips. Don't think, oh, I can't go and I can't do this. We make time for a lot of other things, prioritize travel. So,
Yes.
Tanika, the next question that I want to ask before we dig deep into our theme today is if you could describe who you are, how would you describe the the response to this question? Who is Tanika de Souza?
Who is Tanika de Souza? So I am a very ambitious person, um, very creative in thoughts. I always have a great idea and how I think it's going to transform something. But at the heart of it all, I love to help people. I love to see other people's lives transform, which is why I have not in all these years given up my coaching programs. And at this point, I own a staffing agency. And I would say my perspective on the staffing agency is really changing the lives of those virtual assistants who work for my company.
Mm-hmm.
So almost everything I do, that's the thread that kind of runs through. I'm really trying to find ways to help somebody else's situation be 1,000 times better. And I believe that I've I've learned lessons in my life. I've had experiences in my life, and the thing that is rewarding is not what I got out of it, but what is it that I can give to somebody else that enhances their life. So
Mm.
even in the smallest way of being a mom, I've learned through these lessons. Let me teach you. Clearly, my kids are still going to have to learn some things on their own. But I feel like it's not about what I can do, it's about what I can help the next person do a little bit faster, a little bit easier, and have like a clearer path to get to their destination because I've already done some of the stumbling to get there.
Mm. And, for you to even bring in the fact that you're a mom, that's what I was thinking in terms of how you help so many people and have helped people for practically now almost 20 years in this entrepreneurial realm, actually longer than that. And the fact of the matter that you have been able to still be, and I can say firsthand, y'all, she is a phenomenal mother and wife and is exceptional at what she does and has been able to wear all of these hats and still have a heart to help people she doesn't even know or to help make somebody's life better. So, before we even get more into that, let's start at your journey. Out of everything you could have done in the entire world, what led you down this entrepreneurial path? What's that story?
So I think the ambition is the real answer to that. Like, I think ambitious people, they it's not a matter of you not being satisfied with where you are, but you just like are determined to do more and to give more and to just to keep evolving. Um, when I was younger, I wanted to be a lawyer. And I had an opportunity when I was 16 years old to go to the Supreme Court. I met Ruth Bader Ginsburg and
Wow.
Clarence Thomas. So for a young Black woman to walk into this room and see a Black person and a woman sitting in Supreme Court, and that's where I ultimately wanted to go. Like the lawyer was only to get me to the U.S. Supreme Court. Um, to see that, I was like, this is possible for me. Like they're doing the things that set the stage for me to be in the seat. And it's so crazy that in my lifetime, I do get to see a Black woman sit on the Supreme Court. So I'm super,
Yes.
super proud.
Yes.
Um, yes. So I was like, that could have been me. I knew it, when I was 16, right? So it's kind of that I've always had that kind of drive to it's like, okay, being a lawyer is great, but what does that lead to? I had to go all the way to the highest seat in the land, right?
Mhm.
Um, but one of the things that happened to me when I went to the Supreme Court, I literally walked up to Clarence Thomas and said, I'm going to have your seat one day. And he smiled.
Oh.
And he said, how old are you? I said, I'm 16. He was like, you're probably right because we'll all be leaving here about that time. And he like pat me on the back. He said, the thing is, you can do whatever you want to do. You just have to hold on to like the vision of where you're trying to go. Just
Mhm.
keep that in mind and keep going there. But you can do whatever you want to do. And he was like, good for you. I'm happy. And then we spent and had a whole long conversation.
Wow.
Um, so kind of hearing people in these bigger positions, I'm going to say, um, caused me to realize one, they're human and they had a journey to get to where they needed to go.
Mm.
But it's possible. Like if this person could get there, why can't I? Now, clearly, the Supreme Court has a limited number of seats, and they typically are there till they die.
Yeah.
But the point is, you really can pursue what you want. And so I've taken those lessons through my life, and I studied psychology. I was a therapist for a little bit, and then I married an entrepreneur. And that's really where the entrepreneurship came out the most. I had done all the network marketing, MLM companies. I was a Mary Kay girl twice over. I sold weight loss stuff. I did all kinds of things. But in my marriage is really where I learned that I could create something for myself and I didn't necessarily need this company backing me. And together we started our bakery, which we have for 13 years.
Yes, and
Um,
y'all, I can say personally, they could bake. They had some delicious desserts. They did.
it's so crazy because people I don't know walk up to me. They're like, "Are you still making cakes?" And I'm
I
like,
know.
"How do you know me?" Like it's like a friend of a friend of a friend. They realize who I
Mhm.
am, and they're like, "Yeah, we were so sad when you stopped baking cakes." And I'm thinking, I never even knew you were my customer. But they had the cakes at somebody else's party and they would look forward to going to that party so they can get cake. But either way, the point is you really can just decide this is what I'm going to do. This is the journey and just keep going. Um so that's entrepreneurship kind of satisfies that part of me
Mhm.
because I
Yeah.
can be creative, I can be ambitious, I can keep going. And in the entrepreneurial space, that's totally honored. You're not called greedy and selfish and, all these other crazy things. You're basically like, oh, wow, look at you, like changing the
Mhm.
world.
And that's exactly what you are doing is changing the world. And although I talked about how delicious those baked goods were, even something like that can change someone's world. If you're catering an event or special occasion, those create lasting memories. Or just even, me, if I was walking in the mall and I came across your store and I would buy something, it was still something that left an impression. But even outside of that, you've expanded since then, and you are now a coach of coaches, so to speak, where yes, you're coaching entrepreneurs, but you've also helped other entrepreneurs figure out, okay, how can I do things more effectively?
Yes.
So tell me about that aspect of you saying, okay, I want to help transform other people's lives by pouring even more into them by being a coach, and just not a coach doing talking, but showing people how to earn lucrative incomes through their business platforms. What sparked you to say, I want to coach?
So the coaching came about from a few angles. First, my husband and I, we're making money from a bakery, we're entrepreneurs. And so networking, how you mentioned that, I network a lot and my network is very large. We would be invited to these investment meetings. And here somebody is pitching their idea, and you have an opportunity to get in on a startup or whatever it is, by investing money. And so my friends were making money doing this. They were, equity partners in companies. So I'm learning all these things,
Mhm,
watching them. So then I'm like, okay, time for me to jump in. So I get invited and I'm attending these investment meetings. They're, of course, mostly at country clubs and stuff like that. And there's no brown people in the room.
mm,
Definitely hardly any women. It's literally like a white male showcase. And I'm just thinking to myself, the only reason we're not in this room is because we don't know about it.
mhm,
That's not true. Because I
mhm.
go to my friends,
That's
I can
right.
bring you to the room if I want to, but you're scared. You don't know anything about investment. You have no idea what I'm talking about. And they don't have the money to do it.
Mhm,
And so we decided, okay, you don't have the money to do it. You have some money. So let's create these like pools where we come together, bring the money together, and then we can invest it how we want. And they still really couldn't afford to do that. And that's when I realized most of the people, you hear it that people literally just live paycheck to paycheck. But
mhm,
I thought you were living paycheck to paycheck because you didn't want to touch the savings, because you were planning for retirement. And so you're not living in the moment because you're, no, it's literally like I don't have any surplus anywhere, nowhere. I can't do it. So that bothered me. And I was thinking, these people I know and I'm inviting, I was expecting that this will be interesting to them. So fast forward, a lot of people have jobs, they don't love their jobs, but
mm,
they stay because it's security. It's at least a paycheck to paycheck that they know, and they're comfortable. They get comfortable with
mhm,
that.
mhm,
In my career and development as an entrepreneur, I I invest in a lot of coaching. A lot of these programs nowadays, if you want to jump into coaching today, you're going to pay 50,000 to get into the room. And these are mastermind groups. I'm not saying that they're laying out a full curriculum for you. I'm saying you're just in the room with a bunch of smart people. You need to ask the questions. You will get phenomenal answer, ramp your business, but that's just a different caliber of thinking.
yeah.
If you want a room where you're paying for a curriculum and all of that, at least 30 grand, but sometimes it's more than the 50 because now they have to teach you and guide you and do all this stuff. And so I was thinking to myself, I invest a lot of money in my development and other people don't have access because one, they vet you and you need to be making millions of dollars to step in the room. So you can't step in the room if you're living paycheck to paycheck. So I came up with the idea to create the 100K Society. And
Mhm.
that society was helping you make that transition from your job, from your paycheck to paycheck thing. But ultimately, I wanted the ambitious person who was just at the beginning of their journey. You haven't made 100K in your business. You haven't had that personal win. I learned this was years ago that it was less than 10% of women made $100,000.
Mhm.
And I was thinking to myself, how can you even survive in the DMV and make less than 100,000? I know people do it all the time, but to
Mhm.
me, that's not a lot of money to live in this city. And that's the case for so many cities around the country.
And
So,
really quickly, I just read an article yesterday that said that, and this was from Rachel Rogers, where it said that 67% of women entrepreneurs aren't even tipping off yet at that 25,000 mark. And so
no
that's,
way.
yeah, yeah, they're still at that beginner level of trying to really punch through that glass ceiling of their business in terms of trying to really make their mark. But a lot of it is, when I read other articles, a lot of it is based on them having imposter syndrome or having fear or not thinking they can do it, and a lot having to do with their mindset and their own beliefs about themselves.
Yes. So
Hmm.
you reminded me of kind of the third reason why I created. So one, people didn't have the money. Two, they had the ideas, but you can't even get into these mastermind groups because you don't make money yet. So you have to at least make that first 100,000. But three, a lot of the education I received, like I like Rachel Rogers, and there's several other names just like hers. And I just felt like, why do I have to receive my business coaching with all this extra stuff, like your curse words and your, I don't want all that.
Mm.
And I have a hard time recommending people
I
because I'm just
understand.
like, if I recommend a book, like there's a book that I really like, and the title of the book has a curse word in it. And I'm
I
just
think I
like,
know what you're talking about because I have read it
yes.
too.
And I'm just like, and it took me like being recommended several times. So I also wanted to create an environment where you can learn to make money, where you can rely on your Christian principles. Because if you don't want to pray about something, or you don't want me to say God and Jesus, just you can just forget it with me, because I don't even understand how to not do that, right? But
Mhm.
the point is, I didn't feel like that was available. I didn't feel like that was available for new entrepreneurs, at least not very accessible. There are a few people now that you can go to, but a lot of the books and a lot of the big names, it came with so much more. So I was like, something has to give. So that's how the coaching came up. I've done several iterations of group coaching. Currently, I am all about the work from anywhere lifestyle,
Mhm.
because outside of making money, the thing that I want us to have is flexibility. You don't have to have the flexibility so you can be in Panama. You might need the flexibility so you can show up to your kids' sport games, so you can take care of your ailing parents, so that you can be a more present mom or wife. Like whatever it is you need your time for, I want you to create a business that supports you so that you can have that flexibility to live your life at whatever stage, age that you're in.
And all of that is really critical, especially in this day and age and the economy we're in. But sometimes people can sit on the sideline and not think they're worthy of doing something different or going after their dreams or goals, or they have
Yes.
these perceptions that it's too late or it's just a dream, but it's going to be hard. And sometimes they might not want to put in the work, or more often than not, they don't know how to put in the
Yes.
work. And so the fact that you coach them towards that is absolutely marvelous. And when it comes to your life story and journey and your transformation, there's a quote I love, and I've said it more than once on this podcast, but it's a quote that says, "Don't judge my story based on the chapter you've walked in on." And a person who may meet you now or see you might have a perception thinking that you've always been all the way up here and not really know what happened underneath the iceberg. They're only seeing the
Mhm.
tip of it. What have been some challenges? Maybe one or two, doesn't even have to be a lot. But on this journey, what have been two of the most challenging situations you faced as an entrepreneur? How did you overcome those and how did that help transform you and your business?
Challenges as an entrepreneur, oh my goodness, there's so many. Um, I think the big thing is every entrepreneur, no matter your industry, no matter what you're doing, you're going to have stumbling blocks. And it's really all a function of the fact that you just don't know better. In the early stage, like think of little kids. In the early stages of kids learning to do stuff, they don't know how to do it, so they make mistakes. The problem with entrepreneurship is when we start making mistakes, we think that it's our fault. We don't think that we can grow beyond that mistake. We don't think that we'll ever learn how to do it better. And we don't think of ourselves as like baby entrepreneurs that are just learning and getting our feet wet. We think, I'm not cut out for this. Imagine if an infant said, I'm not cut out for this walking because they keep falling down. No parent is caring that their kid is falling down while learning to walk. They just like, get up, get up, get up. And eventually the kid walks. So all of the entrepreneurial stumbles, I would say, are absolutely just an illumination of that. I've had all the classic things. The only thing I can say I didn't have, which I was told I would, was someone stealing like massive amounts of money from me. I
Mhm.
never had theft in that way. And with my bakery, I had multiple locations. They were in malls. Mall employees are known for stealing. My mall employees, they might have ate a cupcake or two, but they were allowed on their shift. But
Mhm.
I didn't have my money stolen and things like that. But I had all the classic stuff, people calling out, people, um, being really upset and belligerent with you, like
Mm.
employees. Um, when I looked up after building the bakery and we were like, go, 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 and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like so much. I was employing over 100 people a year. Like every year we
Wow.
were doing taxes, there were more than 100 people that
I
had
didn't
worked for
realize
me.
you had a team that large.
I
Wow.
had I had my kitchen, which are like the people who are baking, people
Mhm.
who are decorating, and decorators. I had a delivery team, I had an
Mhm.
admin team. So that's 5
Okay.
teams and you haven't even left the kitchen really. And then
Mhm.
you have all the stores. Every mall had a full staff because the malls have to be open every hour that the mall is open. So you had to have a full team for each mall. And I had 2 or 3 malls, my storefront at the bakery was open. I franchised the company.
Mhm.
Um, and like I said, all the other teams, like the delivery and all this other stuff. Um, it was a lot. It was a lot of people, a lot of craziness, a lot of emotion. That's also why I feel equipped to run a staffing agency because it really did come down to how did I hire? If I hired well, if I understood what I was looking for in these people,
Mhm.
they could continue the vision of my
Mhm.
company. But if not, it was crazy. So we've had all the interesting things. I've had people who pretended to be managers and try to do business for my company. There,
Wow.
one little guy, I mean, we loved him, but he was so crazy. He was at the mall and he was interviewing people for what position I do not know. I think it was his way of meeting little girls or something. But it
Oh.
got back to me because that looks bad on me that you're sitting in the middle of the mall being ridiculous and interviewing people, and these people are calling me like, well, I did my interview Like,
Oh
what should
my
I do?
gosh.
I'm like, I don't know you. I didn't interview you, and none of my managers told me anything about this. You can call
Wow.
back the manager. So I've had like crazy stuff like that, but I've also had the big things of, there was some incident that happened. I was in a mall where there was a mall shooting.
I remember that. I
My
remember
daughter
that.
my
Yes.
daughter was working that day.
Uh-huh.
And in the back of my mind, that started to seal the deal of I'm out. Like
Mhm.
I started making an exit plan because I was like, there is no way I'm going to be putting my own child and my
Mhm.
company and my employees in danger like this because I can't predict what people are going to do. It's
Mhm.
not that I was trying to live in fear, but I was just like, enough is enough.
That's
So
right.
mall traffic slowed down significantly. That does not change my bills.
Mhm.
So after that incident, it was really tough financially. Um, but because I had multiple locations, we were always able to kind of make ends meet. But
Mhm.
we've definitely had tons of times where making ends meet was like my house didn't get anything. Like my house was the last to receive something. So now I'm delayed on my bills. I'm delayed on paying stuff
Mhm.
because I have to make payroll. I have to pay mall rent. And then everything else is just like, if I can do it. So those
Wow.
were very stressful times. I think if you're not 1,000% committed to entrepreneurship, those are definitely times that you would quit.
Uh-huh.
Um, because you just may not be able to see how you can get out of it.
Mhm. And I was going to ask this, but this isn't your issue, but I'll phrase it like this. You've made it clear that the bills weren't going to stop. You still had a household to take care of. You still had to keep going, and you didn't want the vision that God had given you to be wasted. And so my question is, how would you respond to a person who is in that place of saying, this is just too hard, this is too tough, everything's going wrong, I want to get off of this journey, I don't know how I'm going to keep going? What would you say to them?
Get help. I think a lot of people somehow decide that entrepreneurship is easy, it's something they should be able to figure out.
Mm.
I'm like, sweetheart, you don't have a business degree, and even that business degree is not the answer to entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people come to my program and they tell me that they learn more with me than they did in business school. I have it on quotes on my website.
Mhm.
um, but the point is, I have no idea why people go into entrepreneurship and think they're going to figure it out.
I don't need the I
I
don't
think you need
girl.
coaching. I think you need some kind of base education for what you're doing.
Yes.
And the struggle, you're really just putting yourself in that space because you don't want to get help. And to be honest with you, it's arrogant.
Mhm.
It's a very arrogant thing to do to think that you're going to sit at your desk with your own mind. Like the Bible tells us, when you have a challenge, you go to the elders. Why wouldn't you go to a
Mhm.
more experienced entrepreneur and get help? And you don't do it because it's your ego, it's your arrogance. You want
Mhm.
to save money. You're going to save a lot of money, and you're also probably not going to see this vision come to pass. God didn't give it to you and say everything you need is just in your brain.
That's
He
right.
said, trust me to help you get there. That is trusting other people. That is learning. That is investing in the knowledge you need for that industry. You didn't get a job and just show up knowing everything. You were trained, right? You did on the job training, or you did formal training, or you got a degree, but you've invested even for your career. But somehow
Mhm.
they don't equate that to entrepreneurship. So that's usually where I tell people, I'm like, you can pray all day, but maybe you should pray for the resources that you need to show up. And they
Mhm.
likely are showing up. You're just not taking advantage of it.
Yes, wholeheartedly is that this role is not for the faint of heart. And so, just as you, I've done MLM things in the past. I used to do part-time catering. I've done a lot of different things on this entrepreneurial journey. And of course, now with the coaching and wellness and all of that. But you are right, is that one of the best things I've ever done is to get mentorship, to take the courses, to learn as much, always working on me and still learning.
Yes.
And it's also helping me now because my boyfriend, he's a seasoned entrepreneur also. And so to learn a lot of tips even from him and from other people in my circle has been really, really helpful. And with me making the transition into it full time, as opposed to kind of part time or dabbling here and there in the past, that is a shift and an adjustment, but it's not something that I'm giving up on. But also, I had to learn what makes me me and what makes me different.
Yeah.
So, Tanika, what makes you different in your niche? And why would you tell people, because you had said this offline to me, what is the reasoning behind encouraging people to dare to be different? What is the significance in being different?
The significance in being different. So, I think where what you and I were talking about was the fact that a lot of people deal with imposter syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
um, because they can't dare to be different, right? So it's like, I said I was going to do this coaching, or I said I'm going to do this consulting work, or I know that I could do this business. But then they start to think, what are other people going to think of me? What, they just start thinking so many things. So imagine me, right? Imagine me, the kid who wanted to be a lawyer. I was adamant that I was going to be a lawyer. My mom would
Mm.
tell me, come in this kitchen, and she was going to teach me how to cook something. And I would tell her, I'm a child, okay? I am a young teenager. And I would look her right in her face like, I am not going to be cooking. I'm going to hire a chef. I'm going to hire a house cleaner. You got me in here doing chores. That was my attitude as a young person,
Mm.
because I was going to be a lawyer. So I was preparing my life as a teenager.
Girl, oh my
I
goodness.
was preparing my life for being a lawyer. So imagine if I never gave myself permission to study psychology, because I was given the advice, don't go to school and study pre-law or
Uh-huh.
political science. Study
Yes.
something else that you can like bring to the table in
Mm-hmm.
law school. And I was like, oh, I love psychology and like how people think. And then
Mm-hmm.
I fell in love with that, master's degree and all, and I was doing therapy. So imagine if I didn't give myself permission to change my mind. Like, people change their mind all the time in college. We give ourselves permission to do it there. I did that career for a little while, like a couple years, and then I got out. Um, Once I got married, I was a stay-at-home wife for a little bit, and that's kind of where the bakery idea was born
Mm-hmm.
from my oldest daughter. And then we decided, okay, literally because I'm married into an entrepreneurial family and
Yes.
I had access to a commercial kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
um, I went from idea to in a commercial kitchen, opening my first small location in 6 months. That is scary. That is a lot of money. That is a lot of energy. That's just a lot of stuff all at one time. Imagine if I told myself, you don't even cook. I will tell everybody I know I am not domesticated. My husband did not marry me because I am in here cooking and cleaning. That is not my ministry. Other people can cook and clean. I dabble in those things, okay? I'm not going to live in a mess, but no, man.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So so imagine if I told myself, you don't even cook. Like, how are you going to run a bakery? You hardly spend any time in the kitchen. But I love dessert. I love making people happy. It was my daughter's idea. We developed it. and I gave myself permission to be a baker. You couldn't tell me I was not a baker. I had the whole outfit. I got the hat with my name on it. I was running the show. I got the chef jackets and it had my name on it, my company name, because it was my company.
Mhm.
I owned it. I am the head of a kitchen. I needed to own my position. If anybody has ever worked in food service, you know running a kitchen is running a whole group of
Mhm.
divas, and if you are not strong-willed, you will be run over in
That's
your
right.
own kitchen. So I had to own it. There was no room for me to play small as a baker, even though I'm not domesticated at home.
Mhm.
I run this kitchen though, and I owned every ounce of running my business. I ran the business, I managed the people, like whatever capacity I needed to be in, I was in that capacity. Fast forward, I decided I didn't want to bake anymore. It was stressful for me,
Mhm.
taxing on my body. It was taxing on my time. And that's the thing that I cared about the most. I didn't care that I had money. I cared that I was missing stuff in my kid's life. I cared that literally I went to a funeral and I had to leave early because I had deliveries to do and I had something to do
Wow.
for my bakery. And I sobbed all the way to this kitchen because when I showed up, I needed to be present and I needed to be the boss for everybody else. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I want to be able to take a day off. I want to be able to enjoy my time. I want to be able to work on my own schedule. And a
Wow.
bakery doesn't allow that,
Yes.
especially with malls. I was open every single day of the week, every single day. So my kitchen was open every single day.
Mhm.
So I wanted something different and I gave myself permission to do something different. And that's how the staffing agency came about. What if I told myself, I mean, granted, I can prove to you that I know how to hire. Okay. We've been doing it for years and years, hundreds
Mhm.
and hundreds of people I've hired. I've worked as a director of operations for two other companies fractionally. And I was doing all of their personnel work, like HR stuff, hiring, managing employees. So I know that field. Um, but when I decided, the thing I want people to understand is your life is a culmination of decisions,
Mm.
right? I
Yes. Yes, it is.
decided that I was ready to do something new. Of course, because it's me, there was prayer. There was like me going to God, like, is this the end of this chapter? Like, did I do the things that you wanted me to do here? And I didn't have any resistance to let it go. And so I did. Right. So I moved to the next chapter. And I think people get caught up in like, oh, I need a sign. Oh, I need no. God gives you these gifts and talents. And I'm not the one that believes that it has to be used in this one and only way. And you have to figure out this
Mhm.
one and only way. I believe that you're going to learn as you go. And the big thing that God has for you, you can't even fathom at this moment. So start with what you know, do it, do it well, and keep growing.
Mm.
I don't believe that you need to be sitting around waiting for the epiphany that this big ginormous thing is going to happen, because even if you got it, it will overwhelm you and stress you out. So do the
And
thing.
the longer you wait, that opportunity could pass right on by you.
It could absolutely pass. And building your network is something huge. You know,
Mhm.
like when people are like, well, I'll wait, or I need more time, or I need this, I'm like, start building your network, start learning your industry, start being around people who are already doing this type of work. Where
Mhm.
are they? Are there conferences? Are there groups you can join? There's so many online groups now. You can do meetups
Sure
with
are.
other people who are in that same industry. Start being around people who are having the conversations for the thing you want to do next. But the biggest thing is give yourself permission to do it. Like stop thinking about, well, Is everybody gonna laugh at me if I'm a baker and I hardly ever cook?
Who
Who
cares?
cares?
Yes, who cares?
Who
Get
cares?
out of your own
My
way.
mom, every single time I bought a cake to my mom's house, she was like, "It is crazy to me that you bake cakes." And guess what that woman did after she made that statement? Enjoyed my cake.
That's right, I'm sure. Yeah.
So, yeah, sometimes it is crazy, but especially as a woman, there's an analogy I use. One day I was pregnant and I was an expecting mom. And then one day that child was born, and then I was a mother. Like, I didn't get to say, well, I'm kind of a mom and I'm just dabbling in mother.
Uh-huh.
I'm just going to see if I like it. I'm not going to tell a bunch of people I'm doing it. No, I got a whole kid and I need to parent this kid. So I need to be around moms. I need to like understand what this is about. I need to understand how to take care of a child. Like you're forced to jump in and
Mhm.
and be a parent. You don't get to just kind of be in. Now, granted, we have parents who are kind of in the role,
Yeah.
but the point is, think of it like that. You're taking on this next chapter, and I want you to jump all in, whatever that means to you right now. Jump in, do the thing, meet people, network, learn as much as you can, and keep going.
That's right.
Just keep going.
That's right. Because there's always to me the thought that, okay, what if the day I choose to stop, who knows what could have been waiting for me that next day? Where
Right.
that's when that turnaround or that shift or that next opportunity or that next networking event or contact or largest check you've ever gotten could happen on that next day. But if you choose to quit, then it can't happen and you won't ever receive that next level of what you were supposed to get. And your voice is silenced in the world because your product or your service is helping enhance the life of someone else.
Right.
And that is also key. I know that our time is running short now, but I want to close with this question. Then, of course, you'll be able to share how people can connect with you. But what has this journey of entrepreneurship taught you the most about yourself?
So entrepreneurship, very much like marriage, is one of those things that holds a mirror up to who you really are and how you're really going to like handle those tough points in your life.
Mm,
Because I've been married 17 years. We just celebrated 17 years of marriage. And I it's just crazy because he's so close to me that he can like see when I'm nervous or scared and he's ready to
mm,
push me through. Entrepreneurship does the same thing because when I am fearful and when I am timid and when I don't want to make those tough decisions that I need to make, my business is going to reflect that because
mhm,
I'm likely going to now make less money or I'm going to make less impact. Um, or like you said, my voice is going to go nowhere.
mhm,
I coach people, and the biggest thing that they fear is they think instantly the moment they put themselves on social media, they're just going to get this floodgate of clients. And I'm like,
It doesn't work
that
that way.
is that is not how it works.
Mm-mm.
One, every social media platform wants you to pay for ads. That's one. But two, people it takes a while for people to build that know, like, and trust relationship with you.
Mhm,
And so if you are listening, this is all about you investing the time that it takes for you to see the result that you want to see. And that was something that I had a hard time with because as a mom and a wife, I really felt like my time wasn't always my time. Like I could plan to do something and then if something happens with the kids, there I go. I'm like
mhm,
now on mommy duty. Or if my husband needed something, I felt like I was running in all these different directions. So I will say that I can see as an entrepreneur, I am a stronger decision maker as my kids got older. But I think it really had more to do with me deciding that what I was doing was just as important as everything else happening in my house.
Mm.
When my kids were little, I couldn't say that to myself. And entrepreneurship showed it to me. It was like, you said you're going to launch this group and you're going to do these things, but you refused to do it. And it's because I was holding my time for my children. I decided that any whim thing they came up with or that happened, I needed to be 1,000% available, which made anything I was doing less important.
Mm-hmm.
But as they've gotten older, I was able to make the decision that the things that I'm pursuing are just as important as anything else in this house. And that was probably one of the hardest lessons. Like you asked me earlier, a hard entrepreneurial lesson. That
Mm-hmm.
was a hard mental leap to make. But I'm so grateful that I made it because the thing that it did was show my children because I want them to feel important, but
That's
I had
right.
to feel important to myself. I had to feel important to my business. I had to put those things first and prioritize them and do the things that I said I would do and not waver because I'm scared something's going to come up and then I won't have the time for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I emphasize the work from anywhere because I'm all about building a business that's flexible. I'm all about building it so I still have time for my kids and my husband. And I want my time because I'm at that season of my life where I want to see the world. I lived
Yes.
in that commercial kitchen for so long. I barely was able to take days off. So vacations were not happening. And so I feel a little bit like I'm trying to catch up in that area, but it's just such a blessing to have the flexibility in my life to do it. So
Yes.
that big point is decide that the thing that you are to pursue is important. Decide to honor what God told you to do and that He's going to make a way for you to get it done. Because my kids do not suffer without time from me. My husband does not suffer, but I was scared that they would if I invested all this time into a business, especially a business that was just mine. So the way will be made, but your fear will absolutely make you think that it's impossible. And it's absolutely not. People are making billions of dollars, you guys. You
Sure
can
are.
go shortcut a
Yeah.
small percent of that, you could still be a millionaire.
That's right. That is so right. And it is so very possible to be one, and we've talked offline about this, but although I'm not one yet, I have some people in my family who are millionaires. I have a couple of people I call friends, like true friends who are millionaires, lots of acquaintances that I know who are. And I try to tell people and show people there is enough in the pot for you to have. But are you willing to put forth the work? But also, are you willing to believe and have the mindset? And I hope everybody is hearing that we are emphasizing it goes far beyond just the financial piece. That's a reward of
Yes.
it, but that
Yes.
doesn't happen overnight. And once you get there, you have to grow it, invest it, maintain it, give some to charity, do X, Y, and Z. But it's a bigger picture than just the monetary payoff. And I will say, Tanika, or as I call her, Nikki, and she calls me Lily. But um, I am just so incredibly proud of you. And I just thank God for what He has done for you and your entire family. And I've seen you over the years be consistent, putting in the work, even on the tough days, even when you had a few setbacks, they weren't your final chapter of your story, and your story is still being written. And that's what is amazing about it. If a person outside of this wants to connect with you, and I'll put it in the show notes as well, how can a person connect with you?
So Facebook and Instagram, I'm Tanika de Souza,
Mhm.
and LinkedIn the same.
Thank you.
LinkedIn is going to focus on my staffing agency, and Facebook is probably where you'll see the most from me. But Tanika de Souza, you want me to spell it?
Yes, please.
Okay. So TANIKADESOUZA. So no spaces, nothing, just my full name together.
Mhm. Girl, it was an honor having you today. Thank you for taking time. And I pray in Jesus' name for continued abundance, continued influence, health, protection, safety, and joy upon you and your entire household, your husband, children, your mom, your stepfather, siblings, in laws, their families, everybody, just to have continued favor in all of
Yes.
your lives and keep being a voice that is necessary. Thank you for how you've loved me over the years, how you've poured into me. Although time has passed, we might not talk as often as we used to. I just want you to know your love has never been forgotten, and your sincerity and your genuine friendship has helped to make me who I am today. And I love you so much, and thank you again.
Love you too. Thank you for having me.
Y'all, wasn't that a really profound episode? I am so grateful for Tanika, or Nikki as I call her, for stopping by and chatting it up with me here on the Power Transformation Podcast. And while entrepreneurship is not an easy road, y'all, it is worth it when all is said and done. If you keep going and not give up and not give in to the naysayers, she is truly, truly a living testimony of that. Let's go ahead and end with our affirmation. I'll say it once and you repeat it, and I invite you to join me again for another episode of the Power Transformation Podcast. Here's the affirmation: I have the strength and resourcefulness to handle anything that comes my way. If you enjoyed today's show, then you don't want to miss an episode. So follow the Power Transformation Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you usually listen, and remember to rate and review. I also invite you to connect with me on social media at Alethea Felton. That's at ALETHEAFELTON. Until next time, remember to be good to yourself and to others.